this season so far, as we are just about set for the opening face-off. Inacio at the center dot for the Buckeyes. He wins it back. Myers lost it, and now forward come the Buckeyes. A quick bounce shot, and it's saved away by one of the best goalies in all the.
Goal 21 for Colby Smith, coming off his season-ending injury last year, already leading the Buckeyes here in goals. And Myers, when we talked to Coach Myers about it, Jack Myers comes in, leads the Big Ten in assists, one of the top point players in the country, and it's going to be a key to see how teams start to guard him. They talked about how Denver held him to 2 points, and he's always the key for other teams. And Ohio State's offensive strategy comes from how they're defending Jack Myers, and right there, Dartmouth kind of letting him pass all over the place, but big scrum here.
We've seen a big scrum after this face-off, as you
mentioned them yet. Guys who score a lot and pass the ball effectively. Matt Paul, not much of a passer, only 1 assist this year, but he has the most goals on the team, one of the best shooters in the Ivy League.
Face-off won by Inacio, and the Buckeyes.
This team for the Big Green, and just that angle. What an impressive angle to get himself that far in on the left side. You'd say that Wallen has the angle, as Dartmouth now on the rush here.
Inacio drops another face-off. That was an excellent forward win that time by Mitchell Myers, but the shot for the Big Glares, not just in the Big Ten, but in all of collegiate lacrosse.
And, I mean, I was talking about how everybody's got good players on their attack and that make each other better, but then there's only so many Jack Myers in the world of lacrosse who can do things like that, can get tough goals where they take on 2 players while also leading the conference in from Florida, IMG, which, you know, just breeds D1 athletes. He's one of the guys to come out of there, and he's been quite the stud for Dartmouth. Decided to stay, not take the COVID year when the Ivy had canceled. But interesting decision there by Wayland coming out of net there, challenging with his defender. Just kind of asking for Prince to take it on him, and he just haven't seen the ball touch Jackson Reed's stick. He's, I think, the second best player on this team, and he's been a point monster the last couple of games. He was a goal scorer last year. He just got 100 goals on Sunday for his career, but he's been diming it up, and him and Myers, when they've been good on offense, he's had 5.
Well, it was Mitchell Pelkey that ended up scoring it. That's why you heard the moment of pause here in the booth. We're not perfect, and we don't pretend to be, but it is Mitchell Pelkey getting his 2nd goal here in just the first quarter of play. A good start for him in this Buckeyes offense, who now find themselves up a goal. And the subs will be coming on as Dartmouth will get possession, crossing midfield.
But Dartmouth has moved the ball real well, and they've been good with their takes, kept the ball in their stick.
And a last-second shot attempt by one of the Buckeyes' long sticker. The Buckeyes and Mitchell Myers for the Big Green. A pretty back-and-forth first quarter of play. Both teams having some extended possessions in the opposing team's boxes, and we'll see what the deciding factor will be here before halftime, as it's a scrum off the opening draw, getting physical down there, and the ref's waving, and it's going to be winning the opening starting proceedings here in the second quarter.
One of the 2 guys with the short stick guarding him gets that angle and bounces it. It kind of looked like it went off of Wallen's stick there and just goes over his shoulder and in.
And a quick counterattack once again by the Big Green. That one is stifled.
As a freshman, that's his 11th goal of the year, and what a great cut there. Ohio State had good defense there, just couldn't get the ball back.
And this Buckeyes squad has got to be exhausted, Jack. They've been defending for most of this second quarter, and it's going to be a flag coming up right out of the face-off.
We were freshmen, and he's been a key player for them, and I felt earlier in the first quarter when nothing was really going Ohio State's way, it was, you know, the ball's touched Jack Myers' hands. It hasn't touched Jackson Reed's, and he's one of the hottest players in the sport right now. He's had some big games for the Buckeyes in the last month. Better to start your possessions than Jack Myers. So you give the ball to Jack Myers on one side, you have him come all the way on the other side there. He fakes, he gets a guy on him because, you know, they think that he's taking the net, dumps it off to someone that was Knox. That sets up Reed. Reed can either shoot it or he could pass to the other guy, but Reed loves the opening. He rips it. That's a go-to out of timeout play for Ohio State, and it works right there to tie this game up.
And a wide
The booth, the guys on the bench are screaming. Ohio State, I mean, the defense seems like it's not itself. It's made a couple mistakes here. The big thing, the offense should have 8 or 9 goals. They just seem like they've just taken a couple. They've settled for some shots here and there. Just a little more today. It kind of felt like when maybe I'd come at him earlier. I wasn't trying to at all. Mitchell Pelkey doesn't play much, but I've been liking his game. I feel like he's a twitchy player. He likes to move the rock. Like the ball does not die in his stick. And right there, Colby Smith getting chased by 2. He flings it. Mitchell Pelkey, likes to keep the ball moving. He slings that ball over to Knox, and Knox makes up for it with just a ripping jumper. Constantly setting up people like he does was Myers. And, I mean, Myers is a wizard with the ball, but you always have to have that one more guy who's a good passer. You see that with Georgetown. McGill and Prince both move the ball really well. And then they have Bonnie, who's effective with it. And that's been Reed this year. Reed has stepped up with his ability to set up his teammates, which is great because Colby Smith and Jackson Knox are just kind of snipers, which no problem with there. They're both already 20 goals. With 21 career goals, he had been hurt. He's already got 23. And just the Myers feed there to Reed. Doesn't get much better than that, but again, we can talk all day about Hinks. He's not your average goalie, and you know plays like that are supposed to work. But when you have a guy who can just read the ball movement like that, him and Myers have that's the other thing too, is what's been fun about Jackson Reed's emergence as a distributor. Him and Myers can just set each other up with a little two-man game sometimes, and you know that's all you need.
And it's a scrum off the face-off. Another goal for Jackson Reed. He hit 100 just a game ago. He gets another one here, and the Buckeye.
Kind of you kind of expect 9 to 10 shots a game out of Colby Smith. Usually more than Myers or Reed, and you'd say, well, why? I mean, but there's one thing when you're having Myers score 5 points, keeps up his 3 assists a game average, which is tops in the Big Ten. Scott White, 5 goals this year. He's been coming along these last couple games. A senior guy who Coach Myers talked about. We're going to need to see people like him do a little more, be a little more consistent on offense.